All right. Okay. I'm not coming to you from a new location. I'm actually in the same old office. I just did a little spring cleaning, a little rearranging, a little putting things in different places. I guess I got to get the light right. Oh, wait a minute. Tell you what, first off, I just realized that part of my problem is I don't have my microphone going. Molly will yell at me later, so I might as well take care of it right now. So let me get my big fancy newfangled. All right, so first glitch, first glitch of the new. Okay, let's see. There's my camera. Now let me check my microphone. There we go. Let me just check the settings. Here we go. Invite settings. And I got to go to the microphone, audio. Oh, good. All right. I'll ask Molly. Molly, how does this all sound? Am I coming to you from the right microphone now? Does that sound about right? Good, good, good. Yeah. Okay, excellent. All right, good. So let's get started. I got four things I want to go over with you. One of them, and this is mostly what's new in the news. This one burns me up. This is what is wrong with this country. This is like people think, oh, what a great idea. Look at all the great things we've done for people, but they don't understand that's not what you're supposed to be doing. That's not your job. So let me read to you the story and you tell me when it hits you like it hit me. A school district in San Gabriel Valley plans to develop its own workforce housing with an education to residential conversion of a shuttered school. I suppose I could stop right there and you'll know what I'm talking about. When has the school department ever been good at owning and running apartments? Well, I don't know. It never happened before. But what makes them think that they can just start doing that? Well, boy, remember, they are the first ones against charter schools because charter schools compete against them. Well, it now appears as though the school department's competing against the multifamily owners because the teachers can't afford the housing. So now the school department has to buy them housing, even though every year the cost of education continues to go up. But we're just not paying our teachers enough. But the cost continues to go up. But the teachers aren't making enough to live. What is wrong with this story here? This is just absolutely crazy. Let me see if I can find you. Let me see. I'm not going to read all this stuff. Of course, they're going to get special approval. This will sail right through the entitlement process. A push for a redevelopment of the district-owned property. The district doesn't own the property. The people own the property. Follows a survey of Pasadena Unified employees who expressed a demand for affordable housing in the city. The survey also left the impression that subsidized housing could be helpful in attracting highly qualified teachers. I got a better idea. Why don't you just pay them more? Oh my gosh. And you know, what happens when the teacher doesn't want to be a teacher anymore? Do they lose their housing? Do they have to move out? I mean, this is, you think we're moving ahead. We're actually moving backwards in this society. So that's one thing. Let's talk about it. Like, what do you folks think about that? Is that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, that these school departments are now taking old schools, renovating them for employees? Oh my gosh. When does it end? When do we get back to 1940s education? When do we get back to 1940s living? I mean, I remember a buddy of mine's grandfather graduated from Harvard. And you know what he did all his life? He was a high school teacher because it was an honorable profession. and they got the best and the brightest to be teachers. Do you know what city had one of the greatest school systems in the world back at the turn of the last century? New York City. And 100 years later, it's a disaster. And what has happened since then? What has changed? And now we're giving them housing because we're not paying them enough. And our kids aren't being educated. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. So, all right, that's the first story. Let me see the next story. Okay, I got to share with you this one. This one is, oh boy, chalk this one up to just plain stupid. This is a guy, they call him a TikTok syndicator. In other words, that's where he was getting all his money from. This guy was looking for trouble. He actually is a doppelganger for one of my attorneys. So that's part of the issue here is that well, not one of the part of the issues. Part of the issue is that guy looks like a well-educated guy, and he goes off and he does these stupid things. TikToker Teddy Miller built a social media following on the syndicator's sales pitch. Invest in value-add multifamily and reap outsized returns. As Miller put it, quote, our business is rebuilding S-holes, I'm not going to swear here, S-holes, because that is our focus. And our focus is on making money. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be in business very long. I wonder what business he was in for a long time. The syndicator's business imploded last month. Miller, a West Virginian, was indicted on 12 counts of wire fraud, 1 of money laundering, and 2 of obstruction, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of West Virginia. He also faces a lawsuit by the Securities and Exchange Commission for alleged securities fraud. The SEC declined to comment. Miller's, which surprises the hell out of me, they haven't seen the live shot SEC. Miller's TikToks are rife with red flags. Folks, let me read to you some of these red flags, and I hope you all are wise enough to know, don't even get involved. Don't even try this at home. Let me start by just reading the first 2 words of the next sentence, and you stop me when you figure it out. He guarantees, right. I could stop right there. But let me continue. He guarantees returns, outright rejects SEC regulations, and calls his investment program Bear Loot. Like loot, like L-O-O-T, but it's spelled L-U-T-E. 100% legal. And yet he managed to lose the money of 170 investors. Folks he roped in through a combination of a no BS anti-establishment life lessons and guaranteed returns. I tell you, he looks like one of those off the grid kind of guys. The $370,000 he raised, most of which he spent on himself, is small potatoes compared to what other players in the space have gathered. But his scheme, which dragged on for nearly 2 years, speaks to how little oversight regulators afford smaller operators. It brings into question whether the law that spawned online fundraising has also invited fraud. Oh, you think? In soliciting investors via TikTok, Miller should have been operating under Reg D 506C, the securities rule passed in 2012, which allows firms to raise capital online from accredited investors, or those people making more than $200,000 a year. Not only did Miller fail to inquire whether investors were accredited, and let me tell you something, folks, there is a whole cottage industry of entities that check people's accreditation on a syndicator's behalf. I know, because that's what we do in our program. You have to get scrutinized and get approved by a third party before we can even take your money in. And I like that. That way we're not going to get in trouble with the SEC. Not only did Miller fail to inquire whether investors were accredited, he also bragged about his willingness to accept anyone as an investor. the SEC's suit reads. Miller also failed to submit the form associated with the regulation. I feel like I need to let this out there. That was one of his TikTok or his X posts. Instead, the influencer focused on his brand. Dressed in designer tees and flashy shades, he harnessed TikTok to paint himself as a philanthropic millionaire, scooping up distressed properties, hiring homeless people to renovate them, and generating returns of more than 20%. A dirty mouth and hustler attitude added to the dimension. You can't make money if you're an effing P word is a catchphrase of his. It's unclear who compromises the 100,000 followers he boasts on TikTok. Both his Instagram and YouTube have been deactivated. But the comments section shows that many took his promises and persona at face value. Thank you for being a decent human being, wrote one follower on a February post. I think I just might have to start putting some cash into this. Maybe a couple thousand a month, a comment on another reads. I just invested with you. Can't wait to see how everything works, writes a new investor. Many commenters are out of work. Others are looking to switch careers. And it's not hard to imagine how Miller's occasional TikToks showing his tropical vacations would whet their appetite to invest. The 170 people who sank money into Bear Loot never received disbursements, according to the SEC. For retail investors, a couple thousand a month in losses could be a serious financial blow. Those allegedly defrauded by Miller could get some money back. The SEC is seeking disgorgement of ill-gotten gains, among other requests for relief, according to its suit. The syndicator is facing a maximum prison sentence of 290 years for his various criminal charges. As Miller awaits sentencing, TikTok is playing judge and jury. 3 days before his August 6th arrest, Miller posted one of his life lessons on TikTok, captioned, "Don't be a vacation, be a partner." New comments are ruthless. Next vacation is federal prison, LOL. Well, let me tell you something. $370,000, 170 investors, all small money, 290 years of prison. This guy's probably going to be doing prison time. But the thing that kills me is that this little paltry deal is going to take more time and effort than some of the biggest scams and scandals that have been done by banks here in this country, and they'll all walk free. And this guy will go to jail. I'm not condoning anything that he did. I'm just saying what a bunch of frauds the SEC actually are. Okay, let me see what else. Okay, finally, I want to talk to you about one of the stuff that's going on right now regarding Arbor. Okay. So Viceroy is at it again, and they came out with a phenomenal article talking about what Arbor's been doing. Now, Arbor made a huge operational faux pas, and Viceroy picked up on it and they ran with it, and it's brilliant. And it's like, somebody at Arbor, once they saw that Viceroy figured out what they were doing, somebody at Arbor went, "Oh," because it's brilliant on the part of Viceroy. It's also very funny. So let me get into this with you right now, and you'll enjoy this. Okay, so obviously we know that Arbor is facing a wave of foreclosures, and I'm reading from the Viceroy article. I'm paraphrasing some of the stuff. I'm not reading exactly, but that's where I'm getting my information. Arbor foreclosure special. Arbor is facing a wave of foreclosures as borrowers unable to pay the interest or deliver the equity are walking away and handing the keys over to Arbor. Arbor has predictably been unsuccessful in flipping these properties. Various parties who've been approached to privately bid on foreclosed properties advised Arbor that their offers fell far below what the outstanding loan balance was on the properties. Arbor typically reposts their foreclosure auction dates, knowing public auction bids will fall short of outstanding loan balances. And then where foreclosures have gone through, the sale price was far below the loan balance and only half of the last appraised value. In other words, their equity is less than 50% in many cases of the actual outstanding loan amount. And Arbor ended up buying back some of these properties themselves. Okay, let me tell you about Circle at 1800. Okay, that was a Think multifamily property. You know, Think multifamily. Mark Kenny. I was a Brad Summerk student. I think they had a big falling out. I think there was a lawsuit between the two of them. So Mark went out and started his own multifamily syndication educational program, and he's a CPA from Michigan State. Good guy. I liked him. He was on my podcast. He and I had a good conversation. But he got in there, signed on the dotted line, and now he's getting his butt kicked. The loan was over 120 days delinquent when they bought it back from Arbor. Arbor ended up buying it back. The loan balance was 12.7. The valuation was at about 14 million. That's actually one of the one of the stronger valuations we've seen. But here's the thing, okay? Arbor bought it back, and Arbor bought it back through an entity called Circle at 1800 Property Owner LLC. Okay? So I want you to remember that. Property Owner LLC. It's a Delaware limited liability company. All right. So what ended up happening was that let me see if I can find the next one. Let me see. Okay, wait. By the time it's only okay. No, I want you to let me get down here to the I mean, this whole article just goes on and on, but there's one particular thing in here that you've got to understand. Okay, so the next property is called Life at Spring Estates. Okay, so the Life at Spring Estates originated in May of 2022, so 2 years ago, at a value of $56 million. Arbor filed notice of a trustee sale 2 years later. And then another one, that was in May, and then another one in June, then another one in July, then another one in August. So they're obviously kicking the auction down the road, kicking the can down the road. Operators in the Houston area have informed us that LifeSpring is worth substantially less than the debt value based on firsthand knowledge of the properties and per unit prices in the submarket valuing LifeSpring at about 41 million. All right. Then there's Northbrook. Arbor foreclosed on them back in 2024, defaulting on a $32 million loan. 41 Marietta. So Belden Spring Lake. All right. So I'm telling you all these things because what I have to get, listen to this. This is where Arbor screwed up. It is possible to anticipate which properties Arbor foresees foreclosing on by looking at their business formations. In other words, when Arbor knows that they're going to have to take the keys back, somebody in Arbor gets the ball rolling and says, we might as well get ready because we're going to be taking that one back. Let's go through the checklist. Oh, first thing we do is this. Next thing we do is this. And one thing that they do is each foreclosed property has a corresponding Delaware domiciled LLC, typically named Property Owner LLC, Property Name Owner LLC, Property Name Property Owner LLC, some of which share an address with an Arbor office. Arbor does not provide a full list of subsidiaries, so it is unclear if these are consolidated within the group. We believe they are. Where they appear in deeds and court documents, they are authorized by either Valerie Rubin or Anne-Marie Pizzini. So Valerie Rubin and Anne-Marie Pizzini are out there getting ready for the foreclosures. So all you have to do is find a property that is owned and operated by that has a loan from Arbor, and then go back into Delaware and do a property search on Owner LLC or a Property Owner LLC, and find out what pops up. And those are properties that Arbor is getting ready to foreclose on. Let me just tell you, Circle 1800 Owner LLC. Scroll down a little lower. Life at Spring Estates Owner LLC. Northbrook Property Owner LLC. Belden Spring Lake Owner LLC. 100 Riverbend Property Owner LLC. So let me just tell you, Regency Court Property Owner LLC. It goes on and on. These are all properties that the Forest Villas Owner LLC. So here's what you need to know. If you are invested in a Arbor property where the loan is with Arbor, what you should do is go on to the Delaware Secretary of State's website and do an entity search for your property name. And if it appears as Property Owner LLC, then you've got a problem. You've got a problem because your property is probably going to be foreclosed on. So you better understand that. It goes on. South Point Property Owner LLC. Let me see. And all of these properties just are relatively new properties. They're not old properties. So it's really, really too bad. But it's a screw up on Arbor's part that they went in and they named these properties, these entities, after the property with this owner name LLC, Property Owner Name LLC. So I bet you they won't be doing that again. And I bet you that all the other places that are looking to, that all the other, dust lenders are reading the Viceroy report and thinking, oh boy, we better not do that. And here those two women, Valerie Rubin and Pizzini, were just thinking like, we're just getting ready for the wave. And they were, and it's true. But man, if you own one of those properties or you're an investor in one of those properties, wow. Would not want to be you. All right. So let me finish up here by saying that I want to share with you what's going on in Aurora, because finally it hit the ceiling in Aurora and we know what's going on. Owner of gang-affected apartment buildings negotiates agreement with Aurora to sell or lease the property. So, the more I read after this, the more I realized that, there were always these Venezuelan gangs in there. I was always skeptical because one of my students made some pretty good points about you got to be careful here because it could be anybody going in there. But what happened is the owner of the property, he was an absentee owner, lived out in, and he actually has two properties. He did have that edge at Lowry. That was another property that he owned. But all of these properties were being taken over by gangs, have been for weeks. Went to the mayor, said, hey, I need help. Mayor kind of dragged their feet. So ultimately they struck a deal and they got the guy out. He sold it back to somebody. It could be somebody within the city, and the city can go in there and turn it into affordable housing if the city decides they want to be a multifamily owner as well. So, it's some truth, some falsity regarding this stuff, but in the end, they were terrible properties. The property was being foreclosed on, or not foreclosed on, but shut down by the government because it was a disaster. It was a hellhole. I would really like to go back and I can with Crexy. I can go back and figure out exactly who it was and what happened. But yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. But Hey, another bad one down. Some of these properties should be taken down anyway, but it just goes towards solving or hurting our housing issue. So, all right, folks, that's it. That's the law school library today. That's all I wanted to talk to you about. The school department getting into the multifamily business. Love that. TikTok syndicator trying to think that he knows better than the SEC. Don't even bother playing with the SEC. They just don't play fair. They're not nice people. They're definitely not nice people. And you were an idiot, TikTok syndicator, for even getting involved in that. And then finally, Arbor screw ups. Boy, you can't write that one down. That's pretty bad. But hey, all right, that's where the cookie crumbles. I hope you like my new setup. See all this? I got my whole all my kids right there. Oop. Over here. Yeah, right over there. Those are my kids hanging out, acting cool, doing a darn good job of it. Let me see. All right, everybody. Good to see you all. And we will chat next Tuesday. I will have some upcoming announcements, which I'm very, very excited about changes in the Multifamily Investing Academy and Dobens Law. And I will chat with you all then. Thanks, everybody.